Hello again. So this is part 2 of the video I filmed last week. I never made an intro for it because I kind of filmed it on like one long stream of consciousness. In this video I am going over some FAQs. Cool. Okay, so I've got questions from here and there and everywhere. There's not really a good collection in just one go, so I'm just gonna click back and forth, I guess. What is non-binary? For me personally, like I said, everyone's different. For me personally, non-binary is a gender that exists out of the gender binary. And so like, this is gonna sound like a really stupid analogy, but this is what I always think of in my head. So you know how that phrase, men are from Mars and women are from Venus? So think about the fact that, okay, so there's two planets, Mars and Venus, woman and man. There are so many other planets out there. There are ones in our solar system, there are ones outside of us, so it's infinite. So there are infinite planets. So women are from Mars, men are from Venus, I'm from fucking Uranus. That's just, you know, it's an infinite spectrum that it's not like 3 points to pin down. It's not like you're either 1, 2 or 3. There's 1 and 2 that are accepted in society, then there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's fucking, it's infinite. So that's what non-binary is to me. And then there's also agender, genderqueer, gender fluid. There might be other terms I'm struggling to think of any right now, but bigender. So yeah, we're just all different planets in the solar system, not just Mars and Venus. What pronouns should you use for a non-binary person? Ask them. Some non-binary people are comfortable with she, her, he, him. Some prefer they, them. They, them is usually like your like safety net answer. So if you're ever unsure of a person's gender or you don't know a person's gender, just automatically use they, them. Like, it's just reduces harm and doesn't assume. It's a safe answer. It's just either ask them. If you don't feel comfortable asking them, they, them. If you're referring to them from a distance and you don't know the person, it might be a stranger, they, them. There are like other words that people have used, but I guess like that's the kind of stuff that they'll tell you. But just they, them. Just get used to using they, them. Like, use it every day. Like, especially if you have children, teach children that they, them is the default, because children can't help but misgender people if they're not taught there are other options. So use they, them as much as you can unless told otherwise by a person. What bathroom do I use? The general rule for non-binary people is use whatever bathroom you feel comfortable using. So I tend to still use women's bathrooms because that's what I feel comfortable using. I don't necessarily use unisex bathrooms because unisex bathrooms are usually disabled toilets. They usually slap on the unisex label, so they act like they're being inclusive, but I am not physically disabled to enough a degree to feel the need to use a disabled person's toilets when there is a person who may be a wheelchair user or like have some sort of mobility problem that may need that toilet more than me. If there's not just like kind of separate toilet that's genderless, that's not like prioritized for disabled people, I'll just use women's bathrooms. It's just easy, and I feel like I won't get attacked if I use a women's bathroom. Safety is key when you're like a trans person, so do whatever makes you feel the most safe and most comfortable. Can non-binary people transition? Yes, but also they don't have to. But that goes for like binary trans people as well. You don't have to transition. If you want to transition, that's a-okay. What kind of transition things can a non-binary person do? The world is your oyster. Some people do hormone replacement therapy. Some people have reconstructive surgery. A lot of people born with breasts tend to have a double mastectomy. I would really like to have a double mastectomy one day, but it's also like I work in a job where I'm required to like move my arms a lot, so like the recovery period is kind of like would have me out of work for over a month, and I need to live, so I just deal with my gender dysphoria. Some trans people, non-binary people who can't afford surgery, wear things like binders. There's like things you can buy to put in your pants that make it look like you have a dick. Some people have reconstructive surgery on their genitals. Some people don't do any of that and don't have to. So I mean, it's up to the individual. Never ask them when they're transitioning or how they're transitioning. Transitioning is a question that's none of your fucking business. If a person wants to talk about it to you, they will. Otherwise, it's none of your business. It's one of those things you just don't ask a stranger. What if someone wants to be called by a different name because they've transitioned or begun using a different gender identity? Respect their wishes. Cis people change their names all the time, and there's like no big kick up about it, but as soon as a like non-binary person wants to use like a different name, suddenly people just are like, oh, sorry, like, dead name. Oh, I'm so stupid. I keep forgetting. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, and like, that's another thing. As a cis person, if you accidentally dead name someone, a dead name is a name that they were given that they have since changed or are not using anymore. That's a dead name. If you accidentally dead name someone or misgender someone, just like, sorry, correct yourself. Move on. Don't be like, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm such an asshole, I'm so sorry, I still love you, blah, 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 blah. Like, just don't. You don't need to turn the fucking pity around back onto yourself and be like, oh, poor cis person, they try so hard but it's just so hard for them. Like, just don't. It's like fucking frustrating. Like, it's not, my name or my gender identity is not about you. Like, stop making it about you. It's not hard. It's honestly, like, people make mistakes. Yes, it happens all the time. Like, honestly, people always accidentally misgender me, and like, it happens. It's a part of life when society kind of like runs the way it does. It happens, and it's always going to happen for the rest of my life. It'll continue to happen, but like, apologize, correct yourself. That's it. That's all you need to do. Don't turn it into like the world's tiniest violin crying for the poor cis person who just can't seem to get their head around it. It's such a hard thing to do. Do you know what is hard to do? Fucking chemistry. Alright, if gender is a social construct, why do we need different identities? Why can't you just be a woman who acts as a male or male associated as male? Obviously the person who's answering these questions is like mask. Yeah, gender is a social construct, but you know what? We are not at any stage in society yet where we can dismantle gender. And so sometimes existing in this society means having your own terms to navigate your life through that. And in that, like, that question is a real oxymoron, because it's like, if gender is a social construct, why can't you call yourself a woman anyways? If gender is a social construct, why do you have to call yourself a woman? I don't understand what you're trying to get at here. How do non-binary people have sex? If I'm not having sex with you, you don't need to know. What is NB? Like ENBY? That's just like a colloquial term for non-binary. It's like a cute little word, because I read a thing saying that using the letters N and B, that's already kind of being used by like a different community. It's used by people who are like people of color but are not like black. It's like, so it's POC, non-black. So like NB is just like what we use now. It's more like because it sounds like NB, but it's not. Do you know any spaces where people aren't instantly assumed to be men or women? Generally, your little personal community, the queer community in Adelaide where I live is, I mean, there's pockets of it, I guess. The part that I'm associated with, there's a lot of non-binary people in the queer community that I know. So it's kind of like, it's an easy community to exist in because everyone's kind of trans or queer or gay or lesbian or bi. or non-binary or agender or asexual or gender fluid, whatever, like we have kind of created a community, and that's what queer people do. They create a community so that it's easier to exist, because people just, like, if you're a non-binary person or a trans person or even a queer person and you hang out with like straight cis people who feel the need to not learn they don't feel the need to learn any information about it because it doesn't apply to them, it's going to be harder, because a lot of the time people are selfish and they don't feel the need to learn language that doesn't apply to them, and that's unfortunately just the way the world is. So a lot of queer, trans people or gay and lesbian people, because remember, like, the term queer is not something that everyone's comfortable with, so just like have that in mind. A lot of gay and lesbian people don't like the term queer, so just like have that in mind as well. But we tend to create communities so that it's easier just to exist, because otherwise you're going to have a shit time, you're going to hate yourself, you're going to feel awful all the time, you're going to be exhausted mentally. What are good terms for non-binary people who experience sexual attraction to only one gender? For example, sexualities that would be described as gay or straight in binary people. That's entirely up to the individual. A lot of non-binary people just straight up are gay, and that can mean they're bi or they're pan or they're only attracted to one gender, but that's also entirely up to the individual. I used the term earlier and I didn't even realize I explained it. So non-binary people tend to have a second identifier tacked onto them. So there's feminine, masculine, and andro, which is androgynous. And a lot of people will say non-binary femme, non-binary non-binary andro. You don't necessarily have to use these terms regardless, but it just makes you feel more comfortable in your existence, because a lot of people kind of think that non-binary people are automatically like ultra androgynous or masc, and you have to look a certain way to be non-binary. You have to look like you're not of either binary gender. I personally feel most comfortable referring to myself as andro. The issue with that is not in the terms itself or how people feel comfortable, but how cis people perceive it. I've definitely encountered favoritism over non-binary people who are femme or look woman, like female woman-led spaces will kind of like prioritize femme people, and that's totally fair, because being feminine is definitely under attack, but it's exclusionary, because like as an androgynous person, I feel like I and more non-binary people who aren't like ultra masculine, because you don't have to be like ultra masculine and act like a man to be masc. I don't know why I have to say that, but apparently I have to. For the cis people out there, there's no safe spaces for us, because obviously I'm not going to go hang out with men because I don't want to. I don't feel safe around them. And then women are like, well, you're not feminine, so you can't fit in. But also there's a fucking double standard there, because like butch women and like, tomboy women who are like cis are still welcomed into those spaces. But like if you're non-binary and you're masc or andro, you're not welcome. It's like transphobia at its finest. Like cis people will be like, yeah, we're super inclusive, we accept non-binary people if you're femme, if you look like a woman and you act like a woman and you are practically a woman. That's basically their theory. It's illogical, and it just like it's like, honey, your fucking transphobia is showing. Have I come out to my parents? No, I probably never will. You don't have to come out to people if you know it's not gonna benefit anyone. So that's just life. On the subject, the label trans, I am trans. In my personal understanding of my transness is that I am not the same gender I was given at birth. Some non-binary people don't like to be called trans or don't consider themselves trans. That's again personal preference, but there's nothing wrong with calling yourself trans if you're not binary, because the term trans comes from like a Latin word. Me editing again, just chugging this in the video because when I originally filmed it, I don't think I explained it very well, so I just want to like kind of chuck in me explaining it better after like doing my fact checking. Trans comes from the Latin word, which has a few different meanings, but one of them is to change, hence transform or translate. These words use that suffix. And then cis is generally only used in correlation with trans, meaning kind of like the original state. Not so much in that way, but the examples I found weren't great, and that's just the best I could get from it. I am not the gender I was given at birth, so I am trans. There's that. Anyways, I feel like I've covered everything you kind of need to know. I guess the takeaways are: ask people their pronouns, don't assume gender, don't ask people personal questions that are none of your fucking business. If you think to yourself, how would I feel if someone asked me this question and you're offended, then don't ask it to someone else. Let people use whatever bathrooms they want to use. If they're using that bathroom, it's because that's the bathroom they want to use. Don't call non-binary people cis label terms unless they say they're okay with it. So please don't ever call me girl, lady, woman. I fucking cannot stand it. And in that same context, if a non-binary person who looks masculine is not comfortable with like boy, man, etc., don't do it. Just like don't do it unless someone says they're comfortable with it. That's basically the takeaway, is unless a person has said they're comfortable with answering something or being called something, then just don't do it. Like, Jesus Christ, exercise some fucking manners. Please be kind to people. I kind of started to feel too sick to film the outro, so here I am. It's a week later. Thank you for watching. Like, really, genuinely, thank you if you did watch. Thank you to the people who gave me feedback. Thank you to people who encouraged me to do this. But yeah, mainly thank you to the people who gave me feedback. It really means a lot. So please subscribe if this is the kind of stuff you're interested in. Please comment. If you have any burning questions that I didn't go over that you think I should, please comment or message me privately or anything. Just like, let me know. Give a thumbs up if you like this. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video to your friends if you feel they will benefit or appreciate or just enjoy this. Seriously, please. It would mean so much. Thank you so much, and bye.